According to the World Health Organization, 7,000 people, or those are the suicide rates that are reported here in Kenya annually, 7,000. With me here in studio is psychologist Ruth Maura. Ruth, thank you so much for your time this morning. 7,000 is such a scary and big number that here in Kenya, that 7,000 people annually attempt suicide. What leads or what causes people to do so?
Basically what we've seen, hopelessness. You find that most people, because of the distresses they're getting in life, the stresses in life, most people just despair. So like they see suicide as the last option. So they just decide, you know what, this life, I can't take it anymore.
By the time you're getting to that point of suicide as the last option, there have been signs.
Yes.
What are some of those signs that we can look out for our loved ones?
Most of the time you find that this person is withdrawn. Probably like when you see the case at the one that Facebook, you find that maybe this person was a person who was talking too much, you know, he was friendly, he would talk to people, but all of a sudden this person doesn't want to talk to anyone, they want to be by themselves, they are sad, you know, like their moods have gone down. So those are some of the signs that we can actually look at, you know, change in behavior, change in mood, change in a person's personality.
Ruth, tell us or describe to us the difference between depression and just having a bad day, and or rather just what's the term I'm looking for? Being sad. There's a big difference between being sad because the day hasn't gone well or because whatever you wanted to accomplish that day or things are not just going well since you woke up in the morning. So what's the difference between depression and just being sad or having a bad day?
Yeah, you find most people, they like using the term I'm depressed, you know, like today I'm feeling depressed. And there's a big difference between being depressed and being sad. When you look at depression, first it's an illness. It's a mood disorder. And it is something that has had a continuous flow like for 2 weeks. You know, this person is sad every day for almost 2 weeks. Their moods are low. They no longer enjoy the things they used to do. They have lacked interest in all things. Most of the time you find that this person is not sleeping well, they are not eating well, they feel worthless, they just want to stay in the house. But you find that most people sometimes they think depression and stress is the same. But stress is the everyday challenges. And most of the time you find that as human beings we're able to cope. You know, we cope with the stresses of every day. But when it comes to depression, first it's an illness. So you find that this person is ill, mentally ill. And it is by mood. You find that when you look at this person, they are sad. You know, sometimes it can be explained, the mood, and sometimes it's not explained. So you ask this person, why are you sad? What is happening in your life? They can't explain why they are feeling sad, but they are sad.
So it's a mood disorder?
Yes.
So can it be cured?
Yes.
Oh, so you can say that I was once depressed, but then now I'm okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Let's talk about relapse. A lot of people who have gone through depression and suicide take a lot of toll on themselves because at sometimes you relapse back.
Yes.
How do you deal with relapse in a heavy way? Or rather in a healthy way, should I say?
I think the acceptance, because find when it comes to depression, you can't predict the cause, you know. Like you can't say I was depressed, then I will be okay. You know, sometimes you find that you are depressed, then you are okay. Then something happened, because sometimes you can't know what will happen in life, you know. Events happen, sometimes you lose a loved one, things just happen, you lose a job, a lot of things in life. So you find that this person once was depressed, they were okay, they were given medication, they were okay, then something just happens in their life and they go back.
The same statistics by the World Health Organization show that in Kenya, students and young people are the ones who are more likely to be depressed. Why students? Why young people? Why is it that this generation is the one that is more likely to be depressed and cause suicide? Because even that young gentleman we've seen on Facebook, he's clearly a young person in his youth, prime time, should I say.
Yeah, I think most of the time you find that the youth do not get an avenue where they can be listened to. Because most of the time, like in our practice, the kind of the youth that we talk to, you find that their main concern is that there's no one to listen to them. You know, most of people judge them. The parents don't understand them, tell them this is a phase. Even as we went through this, you know, what are you talking about? Just, you know, go through it. If it's a man, they tell you, man up. You know, so most people don't have an avenue where somebody, you know, there's this listening and there's just being heard. You know, somebody will listen to you, but you want to be understood. You know, somebody is not understanding you. You feel, you know, there's no one that I can talk to without feeling judged. You know, most of the time when I talk to you, you are like, you know, just to go through it. But most of the time, people just need somebody to just listen to them without judge.
And that aspect of man up has really contributed negatively to us as an African continent, society, talking about depression and suicide. Why is it for men? Why is it that men find it more difficult to talk about depression and to talk about suicide? Why?
I think it's because of socialization. You see, like the way we've been brought up, the African culture, most men are told, you know what, as a man, this is what you do as a man. As a man, you know, a small boy, he's being told, you don't cry. Why are you crying like a baby? You know, so as this young boy grows up into a young adult, they've always been told you things of emotions, things of, you know, you don't cry, you don't show your emotions, you don't show the human you, you know, because a woman is okay for you to cry, it's okay for you to show emotions, but for a man, from a young age, you're always told, be a boy, you know. So they grow up hiding their emotions, they grow up internalizing their emotions. So you find most of the time, men will commit suicide, complete suicide, because they do not have an avenue for them to talk. You know, even if they go to somebody, a fellow man, somebody tell you, man, what is this? People go through a lot of issues. You just need to man up, you just need to be strong, you know, but they forget a woman and a man are the same when it comes to the emotions. So most of the time, you find men are not able to express their emotions.
So should we say that as an African society, our culture to some extent has really strained us having this conversation as an African society of depression, and more so for our men, that our African culture has been more of a negative thing when it comes to the fight, or rather the talk of depression?
I think to some extent, yes, because if a person has been brought up to be told that you can't express your emotions, look at a point where maybe somebody is going through grief. A man is told, you know what, don't cry, you know, like you have to be strong for the others. But remember, this person is going through emotions just like the other person. So I think as an African society, we are not able to express ourselves. Men are not socialized in a way that expressing your emotions is okay. You know, they are told hide your emotions, so they will go cry in their rooms, but they can't show it to the society. So you find that most people are not able to express their emotions. I think that is the key thing.
The aspect of social media, do you think social media has encouraged the conversation of depression and suicide, or has it just, should I say, made things worse?
I think you can look at it in a two-way. You find that these conversations, they have started. When you look at most of the conversations in the social media, you find that people slowly by slowly, they're talking about mental health. But still, look at the case of Gerald Mwangi.
Yes.
You see that he presented a suicide note on social media. When you look at some of the feedback, the reactions from people, from friends, most people just tell him, you know what, just man up. You know what, these issues, everyone goes through them. So you find that there are those ones who are positive, and they will appreciate, you know what, this is mental health and something needs to be done. But still, there are those ones who feel that, no, you know what, this is nothing. You know, you can't just say you want to die. And you know, some people are actually telling him, giving him means of how to end his life. So it's very unfortunate, because these conversations need to be there.
All right, the aspect of finding a suicide note. Let's say you're the person on the receiving end, a friend, a family member, and you find a suicide note, or they tell you, they've hinted that, hey, Manze, I think it's time for me to leave. How do you deal with that as the loved one, as the person who is receiving it? How do we deal with that?
Oh, now, as the person died, or?
Well, let's say they haven't died yet, and they've hinted that they want to take away their life. Or just before, in the nick of time, you capture them, you get them before they commit suicide. They've left a note, but they are yet to commit suicide. So as a family member, as a friend, how do you handle a suicide note?
I think the first thing is for you to just get hold of the person, you know, talk to them. What is happening in your life, you know, because most people, they just want somebody to talk to them, somebody to just listen to them. I think most of the time you find that if this person just had somebody to just listen to them, I think it will just change the entire conversation. So I think most of the time it's just to hear that person out, get to know what is happening to their lives, what is it that is bringing a lot of distress in their life. Then after you've listened to them, you're able to like judge, this person needs more help. This person maybe needs to see a psychiatrist, they need to see a psychologist. So you're able to first listen to them, understand what is happening in their life, then you're able to take the next step. Yes.
When does it become, when does depression, where does that line between being depressed turn into now an attempt of committing suicide? Because it's not the first time. We've had success stories of people who have come out and have passionately shared their story of how they've gotten over depression. And many times, 2 or 3 times, they tried to take away their life, but it just didn't work. So when do you know that even as an individual who's depressed, that you are now lining and you're getting closer to that side of where you're about to take your life? What are some of those red signs?
Yeah, I think the constant thought of death. You know, you are always thinking, I don't need to live. You know, I need to be out of this world. So every time you have that constant, you know, death issue in your head, I think you need to seek help. And also the fact that you find that sometimes this person is always talking about things they can do, you know, like if I want to, like asking if somebody wants to die, they're not referring to themselves, they're saying if somebody wants to die, what can they do? What are the means? You know, so you always look out for these conversations where this person is always talking about death, means to death, you know, Now,
like in the case of Gerald and very many other cases, a lot of the people who commit suicide paint a very happy image. So not all signs, or should I say, not all signs and symptoms are so obvious. So in such a scenario, what do you do when the signs and symptoms are not as obvious? Like where you said mood swings, right? Where today this person is excited and happy, a few hours later or a day later, it's a different scenario. So when the signs are not obvious, Ruth, and because a lot of them paint a happy image and they're constantly smiling. What do you do? What do we do as society?
I think it's the talk. You know, most people, they try to mask. You know, if I'm close to you, I know you as a friend, I'll always know there's something. You know, as much as the signs are not there to be seen, as much as you can't see this person has a low mood, you can't see this person is sad, there's always something you can note from this person. If I'm a close friend to you, I am a friend, I know there's a change. I can notice there's something, you know, as much as you're trying to mask, as much as you're trying to portray this happy personality, but I can always see there's something, you know. So I think basically it's for us to always be there. You know, I think as a society, we are always, technology has like cut off the entire socialization, because as human beings, we are social beings. So you find that most of the time we are not communicating. But if we are always in touch with the other person, you can always note, as much as you are not able to see the clear signs of depression, because sometimes somebody masks. Most of the time you find that people are masking because they fear the stigma, they fear the judgment. So as a society, it's for us to always be on the lookout for our friends, you know, have these conversations. Are we meeting? Are we talking? Because most of the time you find that I'm always sending you a WhatsApp message, I'm always sending you a Facebook message, but are we able to connect? You know, like talk. I am able to see and look at your eyes and say, you know what, as much as you're saying you're okay, there's something that shows you are not okay.
So what's the importance of relationships in that scenario, especially given that we're living in a society that is very virtual, everything is digital? Why is it so important then to still have our close-knit friends and have relationships, like you said, on one-on-one basis, face-to-face?
Because you find that social support plays a key point, because we find most of the people that are depressed, they are committing suicide, death by suicide, it's because they feel there's no connection. You know, they feel I can't connect to anyone, because you find most of the time these people, when you talk to them and ask them what is happening, you are able to find that something is happening in their life. So I think what we need to do is that we need to get out there. You know, sometimes just take a break from technology, have these one-to-one conversations where we are able to talk and, you know, just like get everything out of the system.
A lot of the times when we say that this is a cry for help, what do we mean by a cry for help?
Basically what happens is that this person, when we say that somebody wants to commit suicide or somebody wants to die through suicide, they're thinking about death, basically they don't want to die, you know. No one wants to die. It's not like this person really wants to die, but they want they want help, you know, they want somebody to hear them out. There's a lot of distress, there's a lot of things that is happening in their lives that they just want somebody to listen to them. So you find that most of the time you find, like when you see the case of Gerald, from the time he posted the suicide note to the time that he committed the suicide, there were hours, yeah, between the two. So basically, I think what happens is that this person is trying to ask for help. You know, if maybe probably somebody saw that and they were able to reach out to them, talk to them, ask them what is happening, you find that all this will decrease the rates of suicide.
All right.
Yeah.
One of the comments that we're getting on Twitter from Shiko Kihika, she says, we need to stop imagining that everyone is going through tough times that needs prayers. We need to stop assuming that everyone going through depression needs God. Love and hugs emojis on their WhatsApp, no. Mental health is deeper than just kisses, emojis, and prayers.
Yeah, sure.
Do you agree?
I do. Because most of the time as a society, first, because of the stigma, we've not accepted mental health. So mental health is seen as something that is out of witchcraft, out of, you know. So most people try to seek other ways apart from seeking mental health professional in terms of mental health services. So you find that somebody says, I'm not feeling well, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling like my life is just falling apart. So the first thing that we do as a society, we first tell you go for prayers. It's okay to go for prayers, but still, are we able to like guide people to the right way? Like they need to seek mental health services, because we are looking at it as a
Here's the thing, as you are going through the recovery of mental health, should I say, psychologists, experts within the medical field will tell you it is not a one-way road. As you take care of your mind, you need to take care of your health. So like exercising, being around nature, being around people, because of their energy, it helps you become a better person. So you have your mind to take care of, you have your physical body to take care of. But then there's your spirit man, which has the biggest role to play. How does your spirituality, how can that aspect of being more conscious of who you are help and feed into people who are depressed getting better and better? Because you can still go exercise, you can still have nature walks, you can still surround yourself with people who love you. But if you don't take care of your spirit man as well, that might not be able to sustain your recovery process. So why is your spirit man important during the recovery process?
It is important because most of the time what we are doing, basically what we are looking at, especially as psychologists, mental health professionals, we are looking at a biopsychosocial, spiritual model, where we are looking at your biological, your social, your psychological, your emotional, and also the spiritual aspect. But most of the time you find that the spiritual aspect of you helps you, because you are believing in a higher being. You are believing in something that is bigger than you. So I think that helps a person to know that as much as this is happening in my life, there's something else I can look up to.
Ruth, as closing comments, do you feel as if the state, the government is doing enough to really highlight mental health here in Kenya, especially more so if it's affecting the younger generation, students and young people? Do you think that the government is doing enough? And if not, what can they do?
I think the government is not doing enough. It's doing something, yes, but not enough as from my point of view. I think that the government needs to do more when it comes to campaigns, you know, more and more campaigns when it comes to mental health, so that people can understand mental health. Because I think from the society point of view, it's because they do not understand what is mental health. So I think once the society is aware what mental health is, I think it will go a long way. Because you find that sometimes you say mental health, people think, what is this? You know, there's just a complete picture of mental health. So I think the government needs more and more campaigns. You know, these conversations that we are having here goes a long way.
Campaigns, but also infrastructure, e.g. setting up more call centers, psychological clinics. Perhaps this should be services that are free?
Yes. And I think they need to set up more hospitals, because when you look at Kenya, we just have Mathare. Mathare Mental Hospital is the only psychiatric hospital in Kenya. So you find that most people are coming all over, coming to Mathare Psychiatric Hospital. So I think the government needs to set up more, because think about that person who is in Lodwar, you know, that person who is in Isiolo, Marsabit, they can't access mental health services. So I think the government needs to like put out more mental health services out there so that people can understand. Because by the time they go first to traditional healers, you know, they are going for prayers and everything is not working out. So by the time they come to Mombasa, it has taken them a lot of years. So I think early diagnosis where mental health services are out there to the common mananchi.
All right, thank you so much, Ruth.
Thank you.
Ruth Moro, who is a psychologist. Remember to check on your friends, especially your happy friends. Before we can recap our Twitter poll question this morning and read a lot of your feedback that we've been getting, here's an interesting story. Narendra Modi, whose supporters boast of his physical prowess and indifferences to sleep, has shared his secrets to his morning fitness regime in a video where the Indian Prime Minister